afternoon, everybody. Welcome to yet another of our lunchtime sessions. If you want to turn on your video cameras, particularly the new people, we love seeing your reactions. We love to see how we're working. You know, we're all isolated from each other, and it's nice to get this sense of community. So please feel free to turn on your cameras if you want to, no pressure. We've touched on sharing in quite a number of aspects of the courses that we've done so far, because the internet has enabled certain things that were just never possible before. When we first started using computers, the way we would be able to share files with other people, the way I was able to was I used to have to connect a cassette tape to my Sinclair Spectrum and save any work I did to cassette and then send it to somebody else and they could load it up. Of course, we could always print stuff. That's one way of sharing. But then we started to get floppy drives so that we could share files with people, and then zip drives and SideQuest drives. And then the internet came and we could share email. But as Angelo showed us last week, there's a limit to the size of files that you can share via the internet. But now with high-speed internet, fiber, and so on, I mean, what we're doing now is sharing. You know, we're all together in one virtual space, sharing ideas and working together. So the internet has also allowed us to share our content with other devices. It's allowed us to share our content across devices, and it's also allowed us, so when I say sharing with other devices, I can send information from one device to another. I don't need email anymore. I can use AirDrop, I can use Wi-Fi, I can use a network. I can share content so that I've got the same content on a variety of different devices, so that I can start working on one document on my iPad and I can carry on working on my Mac. And then we can also share with people. We can send files via email, via Dropbox, via OneNote, a variety of tools that we've got at our disposal. We can collaborate on documents. So I'm pretty much going to run the gamut of the things that we can actually share on the internet with each other. And what I'd like to do, Ange, if you can just stay on top of the muting, appreciate it.
For sure.
Let's start off with calendars. Now, if I minimize this guy, let me open up my calendar. On the sidebar, I've got all the calendars that are created in iCloud, all the calendars that are created in Gmail. So let's start on the system preference. If I go to my internet accounts and select iCloud, you can see that I can activate iCloud Drive, but I can also activate my iCloud calendars, my iCloud reminders, my contacts. You'll see notes down here. If I look at my Exchange account, I can activate mail, contacts, calendars. I can also activate reminders and notes. And I can do the same for Gmail over here. You can see mail, contacts, calendars, and notes. Now, I've chosen to activate some and not activate others, and I'll explain why shortly. But if you see over here, Alan DigiCape Exchange, I've got my calendar activated, and my Gmail also has my calendar activated. So if I go back to my calendar, you'll see over there's my iCloud calendars, my Gmail calendars, and my Exchange calendars. And any other calendars that I choose to share with people or that I choose to access will appear over here. So all the calendars I've created under iCloud, if I go File, New Calendar, I can choose where to store it. I can choose to store it on my Exchange calendar or my iCloud calendar. So let's have a look at my iCloud calendars. Let's say, for example, I want to share a load shedding calendar. I made a calendar for load shedding some time ago to share with the family so that they could see in a calendar. If I click on there, you can see it's shared with my family. If I wanted to actually share one that's not shared, let's take this Yumly Recipes, for example. If I click on it, I get this little wireless symbol. I click on here, and I can type the email addresses of people that I want to share it with. So if I wanted to share this with Angelo, I could send it to his email address of I'll come back to this in a second. And now Angelo will get an invitation in the mail, and if he clicks on it, it will appear in his calendar, and he'll be able to add events to the calendar, and he'll be able to view any changes that I make to my calendar. So if I wanted to share my calendar with my family, you can see I've got two calendars over here. One is my Google personal calendar. It's this one, the red ones, and my work calendar down here is my work calendar. One of the options that we've got over here is to make it public. Now, if you want to make a calendar public, let's say you're hosting a series of events, you're a club, and you want to make this public, you can click on this, click done. You don't have to invite anybody. And now if I do a get info on that calendar, I get this little web address. So I could take this and I could put this on a website, and anybody clicking it would be able to view that calendar or put it into their own calendars. So sharing calendars is one of the most basic things that we can actually do on our computer if we're internet enabled. Let's go back to some of the other things that we can do. And I'm talking about now sharing between different platforms on my own computer. So I'm going to quit calendars. And if I go to, let's say, Exchange over here, you'll see I've got mail, contacts, and calendars shared, but I don't have notes. So let me open my Notes app. And just as you saw with my calendars, you can see I've got all my notes on iCloud, and I don't have my notes anywhere else. These are all the notes that I happen to have on my computer. And all of my notes are stored in iCloud. If I go to Preferences and I wanted some local notes and I didn't want them synced, I would enable the On My Mac account. If I click on there, you'll see down at the bottom, I've got notes on my Mac down here. But I don't want that, because just having them on my Mac is actually of no real functional use to me. I want to be able to put notes somewhere and then access them everywhere I want them. So I'm going to turn that one off. But what I'd quite like to do is I'd also like to perhaps have notes that I use in Exchange. So I'm going to click on Notes over here in Exchange, and you can see down at the bottom, it's now activated my notes in Exchange. So if I click on Notes here, I can make a new note. And I'm going to just say, this is my first, actually, you know what? I'm just going to disable that for a second. So I want to show you something before that. I'm going to click Outlook. And I'm going to open up my Outlook here. So here's my Outlook calendars. But if I look down here in Microsoft Outlook, if I click on Notes, you'll see there's no notes there. There's no notes at all. Oh, there was there because I just started doing it and I deleted it. So I was a bit too quick. But let's turn it on again. I kind of spoiled the surprise. So I'm going to go back to my notes over here and go to the notes, and let's carry on typing. This is my first note that I'm entering in Outlook. And you probably saw that was updating in real time. So this is my Notes app. And because my Notes app is available on my iPad and my iPhone, every note that I create over there will be available in each device, but it'll also be available in Microsoft Outlook. And if I was to create a new note here, new note, save it, okay. There we go, new note over here. And if I go back to here under my notes, in a few seconds, this will all synchronize, and you'll see that note called new note, and that'll appear, and all will be good with the world. It looks like Notes is quicker with syncing with Exchange than Exchange is with syncing with Notes. But now I'm sharing across platforms. I'm going between my Apple account and I'm going with my Microsoft account. So this is one way that we can synchronize. And we can do exactly the same thing with reminders. If I go to my system preferences once again and turn on reminders in my Exchange calendar, then all of the reminders I can, if I go to my Reminders app, you'll see shortly. If it doesn't come up immediately, there's my iCloud ones. There we go, Alan at DigiCape. These are all the reminders that are going to be synced across my Exchange calendar. So I can keep things separate if I want to. I can make reminders that are personal inside my iCloud account. I can have work tasks and so on that are completely separate. And any reminders that I put inside here will also appear in my Outlook reminders over here. You can see tasks, DigiCape personal, tasks, DigiCape personal, quick tasks online. So this is one way that we can share across platforms, and we can do the same for Google as well. So if you have multiple accounts, but you still want to be able to access your information between them, by all means do. Okay, so let's close these ones up. Okay, let's have a look at Find My, because this is also a very useful one for families and people who want to stay in touch with everybody. So the kids are at home at the moment. My sister is probably asleep in Toronto. My friend Brian lives in the UK. We turned this on once and we've never switched it off. So I live vicariously through him. I just want to see where he is. Yep, he's at home in Twickenham in the UK. So if I wanted to share my location, I could go to, let me just choose people first, and share my location. So now, if I wanted to send my location to, let's say, once again, Angelo, so Alpha, why do you have such a complicated email address? Alpha Omega Martin at gmail.com. If I click send now, when it comes to sharing your personal details with somebody, if I want to share my location, I send it to Angelo. It doesn't automatically make him share his account with me. He has to choose to do with it. So let's say I'm planning on meeting some people up at Kirstenbosch. We want to meet up for a summer concert, and it's busy, but we don't know where people are meeting and we don't know whether they've arrived. I can say, you know, just share it for an hour, or share it until the end of the day, or share it indefinitely. So I'm going to share my location with Angelo for an hour. And that's sent off, and Angelo is now going to get an invitation to view my location. And if he chooses to, he can share his location back with me. The moment you can see, he can see my location, but I can't see Angelo's location until he shares it with me. And I think he's just shared it back, and it'll take a few moments for it to kind of work out where he is. There he is, Angelo's at the office. So if you've got people who want to, if you've got people that you want to share your location with, this is really useful. And this is how you do it. Remember, sharing your location doesn't automatically share theirs back with you. It's a choice that they have to make. Okay, let's move a little bit forward. Staying on the maps theme. Let's say I need to find somewhere. So earlier I wanted to get directions from here to Gansbaai. And I've got a couple of different routes. It's calculated a few routes for me. So I can share this in a variety of ways. I can share this to my other devices because I don't have my computer over here. I've got the nice fast screen, nice big screen. I can work out my best route and how I want to go. And because my iCloud account has tied up all my devices and my machine knows what devices I have, if I click share, I can send this to my iPad, or I can send it to my iPhone. And now when we get into the car, I can just open up, tap on this, and I've got my directions ready to go. It'll give me directions to my destination. But equally, and this is moving forward, I'm going to loop back to this at the moment. The share sheet over here also gives me the ability to send this file in other ways. So I want to send this to Angelo as a message. So I can open up a message. So if I now want to share this with a bunch of people, here's directions, maybe we'll meet at Peregrine's on the way, I click send. Angelo now has these directions as well. Now, what if I'm building up a dossier of events? We're all going somewhere, I've got everybody's email address, I've picked up a few nice places that we want to go to. So here's our directions in the first instance, but I don't want to send everybody little piecemeal things. I want to send them a collated document, for want of a better word. So over here, you probably see that I've got messages, but I've also got notes. So how do I share this with notes? Oh, and by the way, it remembers the recent people that I've sent to over here. So if you click on your share sheet on your Mac, you will see different things. This is determined by the apps that you've got installed on your Mac. And if you don't have things, and if you don't have Fantastical or Agenda, you won't see them. So this is very much customizable. So I'm going to go, I want to share this with Notes. And a little Notes share sheet comes up. So same thing. This is the best route to Gansbaai. Okay. But now, if we look at my notes, just open Notes again. You'll see I've got a lot of notes over here. I've got temporary notes, I've got archives, I've got cards, I've got a folder with DigiCape notes. And in there, I've got another folder with the schools that we work with, or some of the schools that we work with. So what I choose to do over here is I can choose to make a new note or save it in one of those folders. So if I had a note in here, which was, well, let's make a new note quickly. I'll put in temp notes. And I'll say our long weekend. Okay. Planning for our trip. So if I go to here, you can see down at the bottom, choose which note. Well, I could make a new note, but if I click this little pop-up here, you'll see here that there's our long weekend, the new note that I've just made. Now, this is all sorted in recent order. So if I go back to here, you'll see temp notes. And I could create a brand new note, but I actually want to add this note to our long weekend. If I click there and click Save, now if I go back to Notes, do you see how it's added this to our notes? Okay, and if I click on this, it opens up maps and it takes me to those directions. So this isn't just a pretty picture. This is actually a direct link. So Notes is sharing its information with Maps. Maps is sharing its information with Notes. It's bidirectional. It works really well. We'll come back to that in a minute. So let's hide that and hide that. What if you want to share an address with somebody? Well, maybe some people would go into their contacts. So let's go our contacts. And I'll find DigiCape. And there's DigiCape Company. So I want to send this to people. So somebody might choose that. And it's got our GPS coordinates. And I might copy it and go to a mail and send it. I don't need to do that. There's a couple of ways of doing it. Once again, we have our little share button. So I could email the card. Right? I could send it as a message. If the person was next to me, I could airdrop it to them. One other thing that you can do without using the share sheet, if I just drag this to the desktop, can you see we get this little card icon? This is called a VCF file. You can see the little extension is VCF. And if I do a quick look by tapping on it, you'll see it has all of the details inside that card. So once I've got this little document, I can send it to anybody any way that I wanted to. I could even make it as a link inside a website so that people could access that link and would have that card. And if they've got a program that's compatible with VCF, and almost every mail program is, it will automatically populate their contacts with the appropriate thing. Just as a little aside, you know, my personal card has a lot of information that I actually probably don't want to share with people. So it's got things like my Kindle accounts, it's got bank details, it's got all my addresses. So just as a hint, one of the things that I've done is I've made a second card called my public card. It's got my phone number, my email address, and that's pretty much it. The grayed out ones, this is just the contacts app being clever, going, this isn't in your card at the moment, but Siri found it in mail. Do you want to add it? I actually don't. So if I share this card with somebody, it just gives them my mobile number, it gives them my 2 email addresses, and that's all. So just a thought, if you need to share a VCF card with somebody with your personal details, you might want to make a second card that just has a limited amount of information, because if you're like me, you might store far too much information that you don't want to share with other people. Okay, let's go back to document collaboration. You guys have seen a fair amount of stuff that we've done with Pages and Numbers in Keynote, but the Notes app is also a very, very good collaborative tool. So I made a little note over here called training, and I'm going to collaborate with Angelo. And up at the top over here, we've got the little collaborate icon. So I'm going to click plus, and I could share just this note, or I could share the entire folder that's contained on it. And depending on the uses that you might have for this, you might want to share an entire folder so people could work on a project. And then people could have their own notes inside a project. But I want to show you how people can work on the same document simultaneously. So I'm going to share the note training, and I'm going to email this. Now, in notes, you can say you can invite people and they can make changes, or you can invite them and all they can do is view. I want Angelo to be able to make changes, so I'm going to choose share. And in a few seconds, it'll pop up a collaboration tool. So I'll paste Angelo's email address. It says open the share note. I'm just going to send it. There we are. I'm going to click send. And this is going to go out as an email. It's going to go into Angelo's inbox. There we go. It's gone. And in a second or two, Angelo is going to get a mail. And I'll see in a few moments that he's joined. Hasn't joined yet, but he's been invited. And now I've got some options. I can highlight the changes he's made. I can hide alerts. I'm going to leave the alerts up there. And I can add more people to this list. So I can add people, and I can copy the link and send it off. And I'm going to start putting stuff in my side. So I'm going to say movies that I want to watch. Blade Runner. Hit return, another one. Angie, you in there yet?
I haven't received the email as yet.
Okay.
Oh,
well, we'll come back to it. And
I'm connected. I'm connected now.
Okay.
Yes,
so Blade Runner. Oh, what a lovely war. And so on. I'm keeping entering to see if Angelo. Yep, there we go. Angelo's got blue. And there, Angelo's now typing Dr. Sleep. So I can actually not only see new entries, but I can actually tell by his color. And if I invited more people, they'd have their own color. I can remove the highlights later, but you can see Angelo's editing that in real time. So now we have a little collaborative document where we're working together on the same thing, which is incredibly useful. Okay. I'm going to switch to iOS because this is very relevant to working on both platforms. So if you bear with me for a second, I'll open up my iPad. There we go. So once again, if I'm in Safari and let's go to Safari, and I'll do a quick search for Peregrine Farm Store because that's a really nice waypoint on our little journey. Peregrine Farm Store. And I want to add this to the note that I'd made earlier. Remember, we had the note about our directions to Gansbaai. So I'm going to click the share sheet, just like you saw on the Mac. Now, in the top row over here, these are people that I've communicated with recently. It's just remembering those. I can airdrop it. I can send it as a message. I can send it as a mail. But I'm going to tap notes over here. And in exactly the same way that I could navigate my notes previously on the Mac, I could say, okay, well, I want to make a new note. No, I don't want to make a new note. I want to go to my temp notes. Oh, clearly it hasn't synced yet. Okay, well, I'm just going to add this as a new note. It'll take a few seconds to sync. So let's just make it in temp notes. I'm going to add a new note, save it. And now I'm going to switch back to notes over here. And you'll see in temp notes, there's Peregrine site. And I now have the Peregrine site. And if I double click on that, it'll open up my web browser. There's the Peregrine Farm Store just by clicking on it. Now, if I had another app on my iPad that wasn't necessarily on my Mac, and I'm going over here, well, actually, I don't see it over here. I can click more. And there are a variety of additional apps. So these are the ones that I've got in here at the moment. AirDrop, Messages, Mail, Notes, as you've seen on the right-hand side. But if I click Edit, let's say I wanted to send it to one of my calendars, or if I wanted to send it to this app called Agenda, go to More, Edit, and I want to add agenda to there. Done. There's agenda. If I tap on agenda, it's just going to add the link, select the notes at the top menu, and I'm going to save this off to my agenda. So the notes are syncing. I'm doing this too quickly. The notes would go in straight into my agenda. Finally, the last thing that I want to do, or second last thing that I want to do, is let's say I want to print something out and then share that with somebody. So if I come to my web browser, there's no real, you know, there are possibly, there's a print option here, but what if I wanted to save it as a PDF? So one of the ways we can save something out as a PDF is if I choose print, I get my print dialog box. I've chosen some really lousy examples over here. Let's go Digicate. Let's see how this prints. So here's my PDF. Again, not the best example. But if I take 2 fingers on my iPad and I pinch that out, it opens up the PDF preview. And now I can share this PDF via messages, via mail, copy to expert. I could add it to notes. So I'm going to tap notes and let's see if that's synced once again. I don't know why trip hasn't come up here. So let's add it to the Peregrine site note. Tap save, tap done. Now I can cancel that out. And if I hide reflector and I go back to my notes, this will synchronize in a few seconds. You can see iCloud is syncing, and there we go. There's the Digicate PDF that's coming through, and if I double click on it, that will work perfectly. Now, if I go back one last thing, you can see my share sheet over here on the Mac, as well as the notes that I've got here. There may be, as well as the applications that I've got that I can synchronize with, I can also go here and choose more, and there may be other third-party apps that I can add to. And this list will change as you add more apps and so on. So this was a PDF. I could save this out to Books. I could send it to Windows. So this is how you customize this particular sheet. So a variety of way of sharing notes. I hope I've given you some examples that are relevant to you guys, sharing your location with other people, sharing maps, putting stuff into notes, collaborating with them, so that your experience using your computer is much less of an isolated experience and much more of a collaborative, community-based experience, using the tools that are built into macOS and iOS.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us yet again.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.